Hello, Merry Christmas. I am Angela with Happy Little Stitch Shop, and today we are back with you for another month of Vintage Christmas Sew Along, featuring the Vintage Christmas quilt. We are doing this as a throwback sew along. This is the Vintage Christmas quilt right here by Lori Holt. And we have been working our way through this quilt now for 6 months. I think this is our 6th month doing it. So we are more than halfway through, and we are working on the second half of the 42 blocks that we are making for this quilt. So let me grab the blocks that we worked on last month. So this one is one of the ones we did last month, the poinsettia block. Last month we also did the Santa block, or Old Saint Nick, I think is what it's called in the book. We did the little puppy block. This is my little Henry, or our little Henry, our family dog. I changed the colors a little bit so it would match him. We did the Mr. Snowman block and the Mr. Cookie block. So those are the blocks that we did last month. I am storing them in my handy dandy My Happy Place Be Organized tin. I love these tins. It is absolutely perfect for storing blocks when you're in the midst of a quilt along. It keeps them safe. I don't have to worry about something accidentally getting spilled on them or happening to them. I love these tins. I can see myself having multiple sets of them in my life because they're perfect. And they're great not just for storing blocks. Let me show you. There's a bigger size too. So I have my 12-inch vintage Christmas blocks in here. But you can store 10-inch stackers in here. You can store different notions in here. I'm pretty excited about these blocks. I think they're pretty fabulous. Okay, so let's jump into our blocks for this month. First, we are going to start with the reindeer hooves block. And this is on page 80 in your Vintage Christmas book. This will be our first block for this month. And let's take a peek at the fabrics that you need for this block. First up, you are going to need your Riley White. Then you are going to need your yellow gift wrap, your pink berries, your blue candy canes, and your teal recipe fabric. So go ahead, start cutting up that fabric and start piecing your reindeer hooves block. And then I will come back and I will share mine with you as soon as I am finished. Okay guys, I'm all done with my scrappy little reindeer hooves block, and this is how it turned out. This one went together pretty well. I didn't have any problems. My points aren't perfectly lined. You can see right here I'm a little bit off, but I decided not to rip it out and do it again. I probably should have, but I decided I'm gonna just leave it. But this is how my block turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. So now we are ready to move on to, we have a lot of kind of star blocks this month. So the next block we're going to move on to is on page 81 of your Vintage Christmas book, and it's called the Shine block. And here are the fabrics you are going to need for this one. You're going to need more of your Riley White, your green candy canes, and then this blue and green kind of checked fabric. So just 3 fabrics for this one. So go ahead and start piecing your shine block and putting that guy together. And I hopefully will not have any problems. We will see. And I will be back with you shortly to talk about my block with you. Okay, everyone, how did your shine block come together? I will be honest, this one took me a while. Those hourglass pieces really messed me up. And I think part of it was that as I was going through the pattern, I was assuming that a lot of it was as it has been for previous blocks. And so I wasn't reading very closely. So I missed some of the instruction that was in the pattern and ended up putting them together wrong, like 2 times. So I had to redo the block 2 times. Like I've made this block 3 times by now. So here's what my block looks like. I finally got it, and it's cute, and it's actually pieced really well. Like the points all match up. This one is good. But these little hourglass fellas were not easy. So let me show you. I'll show you some of my errors. So maybe, hopefully this will help you when you piece it. First of all, this is my first hourglass block. If you see the camera wiggling, it's because my husband is laughing at me right now. So these are my first 2 hourglass blocks, and I was like, what? That's not an hourglass. What is this? And so I didn't alternate them. When you put your white half square triangle with the colors have to be opposite each other. So you should have a white and a green layered on top of each other and a white and a green on the other half of the triangle. And then you have to layer those triangles again and draw lines on them, except you have to draw the lines 1/4 inch away from the center. So don't forget to do that, because I forgot to do it and just followed the previous instructions that we've always done and drew a line right down the center of the block, you know, like right down the center here. But you're really supposed to do a line here and do a line here and stitch on both of those lines and then cut down the middle. So I just kind of glazed over all of that. So be sure you pay attention to the instructions. And then finally I got them to work out. I was like, oh, look, this is an actual hourglass. But I had cut my pieces the wrong size. Instead of cutting them, I was like 1/2 inch off on all of them. For some reason, I just was not reading very carefully. I think I was trying to hurry and get through a number of blocks in a short period of time. And that always catches up with you. And when will I ever learn my lesson? Clearly not today. So the block finally came together. Here it is. Just really pay close attention to those hourglass steps in the pattern so that hopefully you won't run into the same trouble that I did. But there's that one. And now we are ready to move on to the Snowflake Block. And here are the fabrics you need for that one. First of all, we have some Riley White again. We have the blue plaid, and then the blue berries. So just three colors again for this block. Hopefully, from looking at it, there are no hourglass pieces to it. So hopefully this one will go a little bit smoother. And I'll be back with you shortly to share my snowflake block. Okay, how did your snowflake block come together? This one, thankfully, went much smoother than the last one. Pretty easy peasy, I would say. This one came together pretty nicely. It's cute. I like it. And I don't have much more to say about this one. It's just, it came together well and no problems. One side is a little bit lower than the other, if I'm being really picky, but that's okay. They don't, in my opinion, have to be perfect. So now we are ready to move on to the sparkle block, and let's take a peek at the fabrics we need for this one. This one is on page 84 in your vintage Christmas book. And we have the white, the Riley White again. We have the yellow with the little yellow circles. We have the pink reindeer and the pink and yellow check fabric. So go ahead, grab your fabric, start cutting all the pieces up and putting them back together again, and have fun making your sparkle block. Okay, how did your sparkle block come together? Here's mine. No problems. This one's actually really cute. I could see this one in Christmas, you know, like red and green colors and red, white, and blue. And in a bigger block, I think this one would be a lovely quilt just to have a whole quilt of these blocks as bigger sizes. So I think this one is really pretty. So that's the sparkle block. And now we are ready to move on to our final block for this month. I think this would make block 30 for us in this. That means we only have 12 to go. So if this is for August, 12 more, we'll probably do 6 for the next 2 months. So that would be September, October. We'll be done, you know, in November so that we can get it pieced and or like all put together, quilted and ready to go for the Christmas holidays. So that is really exciting. After this month, we only have 12 more blocks to go. That's crazy. So let's take a peek. We are going to do the stained glass block. This is on page 86 in your vintage Christmas book. Let's take a peek at the fabric. There's lots for this one. It's a very scrappy block. So first up, we're going to need the Riley White. We're going to need the red gingham, the green circles, green gift wrap, blue and green dots, blue and green checks, yellow and blue dots, yellow gift wrap, pink berries, and blue gingham. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm a little frightened because this is nothing but those hourglasses that I just struggled with 2 blocks ago. So may the quilting force be with you. Have fun, take a deep breath, have fun piecing this block. I hope all goes well. Fingers crossed, I'll be back with you soon. Okay, how did your final block for this month come together? Here we go. The other important thing to remember with these hourglass blocks is you need to trim them down after they are pieced together. So they are made in a way that they are meant to be trimmed down after they are pieced. Again, this is something I forgot on the last block that had hourglass blocks in it. I finally caught on at the end of that block and trimmed them down. And then I forgot again by the time I got to this block. So I made my first block, this one, and it's all too big. And I ended, look at this compared to that. This is a teeny tiny triangle and this is a very large triangle. So all of my blocks needed to be trimmed down and I totally forgot that. So then I ended up trimming around the outside, which made this one really small compared to the bottom part of it. So thankfully for this one, you have 2 sets of each one that you don't utilize. You know, you just have to make 1 block. So I ended up needing them and I used them for this one. I trimmed them down, pieced it all together. It went together fine. But again, when making these hourglass blocks, just pay attention to the directions and don't try to rush through and skim over them because you might miss some important information. So here's the hourglass block. And now we are all done with month 6, I think, of our vintage Christmas throwback sew along. So thank you so much for joining me for month 6. Please come back and join me next month for month 7 as we finish our last 12 blocks in this quilt along. And thank you so much to Lori Holt for her genius patterns and designs so that we can have fun making them together. Thank you for joining me. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please be sure to check out Happy Little Stitch Shop on Instagram and Facebook and follow us on both of those places. We also have a Facebook group called Happy Little Stitchers. We would love to have you come and join us. And our website is happylittlestitchshop.com, where you can find all the stuff that I'm working with here today, and also lots of other cross stitch and quilting goodies are out there. Thank you so much, everyone. Merry Christmas to you. I will see you next month, and happy stitching.